We want to talk about how to ultimately just have more confidence and kind of overcome the fears of maybe playing live or playing at your first blues jam, what to expect. It's just a discussion where I'm going to play. We're going to do some stuff too, but we want to talk about just how to have a plan for going to the blues jam. Thanks, Bill. Bill says it sounds good. Appreciate that, Bill. We're going to teach a bunch of stuff, Jesse asks today, and Andy K said it sounds good also. So thank you guys for joining us. And that's what we'll do here on the stream. If you're new to our streams that we do every so often, we try to keep them open and loose and talk about this kind of stuff. So let's jump into it. You think you're ready to start playing at your first blues jam, and that is truly music to my ears. I love to hear that. But you might have some nerves and you might have some reservations. So we want to take questions about that, but I'm going to teach a little bit or just give you my opinions about what you might consider going to that blues jam. And the first thing I have written down here is have a plan. And the plan is going to be multi-tiered because you want to think about what songs that you want to do. And that's the first thing you should be thinking of because you don't want to go there and not have any kind of idea because what's somebody going to ask you? Well, what do you want to play? So I like to have at least 2 or 3 songs that I feel really good about and maybe that I've been practicing as well. For me, as long as I've been doing this, my practice might be more about remembering the lyrics as opposed to playing. But if you're new to jamming with other people in this situation, you might have some nerves built up about that. So pick songs that you have been playing maybe to backing tracks at home in your practice room that you're starting to gain a little bit more confidence than you had when you first started. And I like to pick 3 songs that might be some of the obvious choices, but also maybe have some in the back of my mind that are still blues progressions that the band could pick up. And if you just said it's a 1-4-5 in A, they're going to understand what that means. You can immediately go to the classics, Sweet Home Chicago, maybe Thrill Is Gone, Every Day I Have the Blues, songs like that. And what I always like to do is say, well, what have they not done? Have they not done a rumba like Crosscut Saw? That's one of my favorites to choose. Should we do maybe Born Under a Bad Sign? Because sometimes people trip up on the progression of that. So have 2 or 3 songs that you know pretty well. Now, this is before there's any thoughts of singing involved. Now, let's say you're going to play those songs. Maybe you're going to play Crosscut Saw, right? Where we're doing A, which means in our blues language that it's going to be A7, D7, and E7. And what I'll say is I love doing these live streams because I love interacting with everyone. But I have not found a way, doesn't matter, all this great stuff I have, it still ends up not sounding as good in my ears as it does on the stream. So apologies in advance, but it's going to sound okay. So you're going to take Crosscut Saw, for instance, because you said nobody's played that yet. I've worked on it. That's what I want to do. And you know you're going to play an A7, a D7, and an E7 pretty much throughout the whole song. And you're immediately maybe going to play your bar chords because that's what you've learned. And that's totally fine. But what might be nice is to have some other rhythmic options to play because chances are you might be the second guitar player in that group of musicians. So if somebody's going here and they're doing that and then you start playing that on top of them, it's going to sound a little redundant. You're going to have some flamming, some chorusing, because you're going to be playing the same stuff almost at the same time. Might create a little bit of weirdness. So I immediately look and see what the other guitar player is doing if there is one. From that point, I want to start picking out other A7 chord inversions because that's the chord we're on right now. I might play more of what people call shell voicings. These little 3-note chords, things like this. Even a fun chord, I probably wouldn't play that one, but that's a fun A7 chord. So you want to have some different 7th chords available to you. In a funky song like that, you can play that little 3-note chord. Let's go over here. That's a great little A7 chord. I teach it all the time. And it's coming from this, or it's coming from this. But it's just these 3 strings, 4, 3, and 2. on frets 5, 6, and 5. And that gives us a G, a C sharp, and an E. So that's a great little chord. And I got a little loop set up. Let's hear if we can play that against it. Let's turn it down a little bit. Sorry, guys. So that's going to go to the 4 chord on me, but let's start that again. Here we go. So that's one place to start for an A7, and then when I go to my D7, I can just maybe do something like that now, where it's going to look almost like that, but we're going to have frets 5, 4, and 5 on strings 5, 4, and 3, and that gives us a D, an F sharp, and a C. So we can get a really nice move like this. Now, what we can do for the E7 is just move it up a whole step from where you were from D and play those 3. And then back there. Other things I like to do is take little pieces like this, which comes from that version of an A7, but I'm just going to take an E, an A, a C sharp, and a G. That's one of my favorite chords I use all the time. And then I might even take a 3-note version of that. So I'll have A, C sharp, and G. Now my next bar chord might be that. Maybe the other guitar player's doing that. Or maybe they're not. But I can make it even simpler by stripping it away from the root and giving an A, a C, and an F sharp. Because the bass player might be playing that D. And I can move that up for E7. And I can play all that little stuff. So this isn't a lesson necessarily on, hey, learn these parts, learn these shapes. I've taught it a bunch, and we can find them in a lot of different spots. It's more about a concept of, I need to have a couple different things available to me. And it can be, you know, an A7 up here and a D7 here. But again, we're thinking holistically in this lesson today, and we're just talking about having some other options on the rhythmic side. Try not to play exactly what everyone else might be playing, okay? So that's a really, really important thing to think about, particularly as a rhythm guitarist. You're going to be doing that 90% of the tune. Now, you're thinking to yourself, well, I want to play some improvised blues guitar, and I want to play some leads, and I'm going to do it at the Blues Jam. So what do I do? Well, they're going to throw you probably 2 choruses, which means 2 times through the progression. And to be, it's cordial, it's respectful to take 2, unless somebody eggs you on to take more solos than that. But in a blues jam, everybody's trying to be courteous, so you want to make sure that you understand how to finish one chorus of the blues and move on to the next. So for instance, we'll take that 12-bar form, and we'll use my looper. So here it is, 3, 4. There's 4 bars. Oh, 7. And here we go from the 5, and then down to the 1. So you got to know. So that's 1 time through, and you really need to make sure you understand your in and out point of that 12-bar blues at the jam, because you want to make sure that you're not overstepping when that second one goes by as well. So now we understand that the 12-bar blues has that 12-bar progression, hence the name, and we want to be mindful of it. And if we want to feel like we're actually a part of the band and kind of quell our nerves a little bit, let's talk about some ways that we can attack a solo like that, so we're not just playing and then we're like, oh, what the hell did I just do? I tried to play a bunch of fast stuff that didn't work, and I'm embarrassed and I fell on my face. let's dial it back and let's take it chorus by chorus. The first chorus, let's play really simply. So if we're playing an A7, an A blues, we're going to stay A minor pentatonic, right? Always goes back to kind of lowest common denominator, but lowest doesn't mean that in a negative sense. It just means that's what's going to work. So if we got this progression, I'm going to sort of live in this Albert King inspired area, since that's an Albert King song. And I'm going to play in that minor pentatonic pattern number 2. I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to try to create a couple themes. I'm going to stay on a few strings, and I'm going to listen for beat 1. Because if the band's playing on beat 1, we can kind of come in a little bit after if we're unsure, and it also makes for some nice phrasing. So let's just do this for measures 1 through 12 of our solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12 bars of the blues. Straightforward, that's simple. I played 3 strings. I stayed in one scale pattern. I didn't move around. And that's going to go by quickly in a song like that. And they may give you more than 2 choruses. So the things I listened for there was trying to create some repetition, but also thinking about where that beat 1 is. That's a little bit more of an advanced thought, but it's going to save you if you can get the feel, because you don't feel like you have to come in on every chord change with everybody on the downbeat. So if it's something like this, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. 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 So we're feeling good about our first chorus there. Simple, straight down the middle. And the reason I'm stressing this simple approach is because it's going to feel like the lights are on you. And you're going to be like, oh man, I wasn't ready for this. But if you prepare yourself to say, I know that's going to sound good, then it can help alleviate some fears. Another thing that might be helpful, and I'm thinking all this consciously while I'm talking to you guys, is put up your phone, put your camera on, and do this same exercise and say, okay, I was good for about 8 bars, and then I fell off the cliff after 9. And I do that. That's why I record a lot of my own gigs, is because I want to hear, oh, that was an idea I completely flubbed. Oh, that was pretty good. I should have grasped onto that more, because my brain's always ahead of my hands, and I want to make sure I can kind of pull those things together, okay? So we played our first chorus. We're going to do that again. And then on the second chorus, we might try to play busier. We might try to go further up on the guitar. We might try a couple different things to really let the people know, hey, I'm moving on and I got more to say. I'm going to get more intense. This is also a time to maybe work in a lick that you've been working on, a fast lick or something that is fun that you want to try with some real players. So if we start simply, 2, 3, 4, 1. Come to turn around. I might go. How about a lick? You know. So they may egg you on to play another one. Maybe you got this in your bag. So at that point, you could hear it start to develop a little bit more, even though I'm playing in one of the more static ways that you can play guitar on the internet. It's not that inspiring when you're not playing, with all your gear and within some real humans. But you can hear that I'm starting to kind of say, well, let me push the boundary a little bit once I get past that first chorus. The fear is getting out of that first one, and that's the point I want to make. Once you play something simply, you're going to grab the listener, you're going to grab the band. They're like, oh, this person, has some confidence, and they're bringing it. And that's an important thing to think about, is what do I do well, and can I kill it right at the get-go on my first 12 bars? Once you do that, I think you're kind of breaking the chains a little bit, and that's what I've always noticed. So play some stuff that maybe is even a little bit prepared. That's okay. You can always improvise after. And sometimes I'll think about that before I jump into a solo. Do I have a rhythmic idea? Do I have a pitch idea that I want to play? Okay. So I got some other notes here that I want to talk about. Again, remember, have a plan, play licks we talked about phrasing after beat one, lots and lots of different stuff. And again, have more than one song prepared, because there's nothing more deflating than someone picking the song that you prepared before you, or you going up with no idea, and then they just say, well, we're going to play this. And that has happened to me in my infancy for sure. Don't practice on stage. Don't wait for the jam to be the place that you work things out on, or you try a lick. Really play the stuff that feels, like I said, semi-rehearsed. The audience doesn't know it. The band doesn't know it. And even if the band does know it, it doesn't matter. There's a couple songs that I play live that I have, probably one at most right now, because it's a solo that I composed that I like it on an original song, and it works with the chord changes in a really nice way. And I'm gonna continue to do that. But I play plenty enough blues that we can improvise our hearts out in my band. But I like playing things that are comfortable for me and recognizable where I want them to be. Okay, another thing before we take some questions is, do you sing? Have you tried to sing? Because if you can sing a little bit at a blues jam, oh man, they're always going to want you to come back, because they're always lacking anyone that can sing. So if you can sing Crosscuts Are, you can sing Sweet Home Chicago or something, try it and work it up and add that muscle to your bag and your skill set, because that is really, really going to be helpful for you, and people are going to love that too. So ultimately, confidence is the thing, and the only way I've found to have confidence is to bring yourself prepared to the jam. A couple songs. Hey, you can also say, hey, everybody played the songs I know. I'm not comfortable. I'm going to sit this one out. There's no harm in that either, okay? There's what would hurt worse is you doing something and not feeling really good about it. I'm here to tell you that regardless of what you play, you won't feel 100% good about it, but it's all about growing, and that's what playing live really helps us do. All right. So we got a lot of folks in the chat. I want to answer some questions if anybody has any, because we've been talking for about 20 minutes here, and we'll wrap that little piece up, and we'll talk about a few things. Speaking of blues jams, I'd be remiss to not mention that I have a new course called Blues Jam Companion available, Lead Edition. This is a really special course because if anyone remembers, back in the True Fire days, I did a course called Blues Jam Fakebook, Volume 1. We never did a Volume 2. Some other folks did some stuff. And we always wanted a lead edition, and it just never worked out. So that is the lead edition version for 10 songs, 10 blues songs that I composed 2 solos a piece for. So it's ultimately like you're getting 20 12-bar solos, okay? So there's a crosscut saw version that will have a more fancier one, but then one more like what I played in our first chorus. That's on sale in the top here. Let me see if I can pull up the link. Actually, I'll do you one better. I'll grab the link, but check this out. I'll put the link in here. There you go. It's 60% off, by the way, and there's only 25 copies at that discount. But check this out. If I do a little screen share, whenever you go to a sales page on our site, workingclassguitar.com, we're going to tell you about the course, but we're going to also have preview videos there so that you can watch a preview video and you can do something like this. Let's see if it works. There we go. See, and you can watch the video and you can see that in our lead versions we have, tab on screen and that sort of thing, as well as loads of other assets in one of our courses. So Blues Jam Companion Lead Edition on sale with the link in the chat or in the description as well. All right. So let's talk about what some of you folks are mentioning. Well, all right. Well, thanks for being here. Only 23, Madi. Thanks for being here. And Eric R. says the intermediate blues rhythm class was just taking that course. Yes, so a lot of the stuff I was mentioning is in, let's see if I could find it. I'm not going to be able to find it quickly. I probably can. Courses, if I go to my course page. So what they're referring to is intermediate blues rhythm. And I'm never going to be able to find it. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Let's share that screen. Intermediate blues rhythm. $40, loads of lessons. We put that one on sale every once in a while. Obviously, there's loads and loads of courses on our site and ebooks as well. But that blues rhythm stuff is going to be great. There's going to be some great stuff in that intermediate rhythm course. So thank you, Eric, for mentioning that. Kevin loves this guitar. This is a Powers electric guitar. I've enjoyed playing these, particularly in my live streams because it's pretty light. It can balance pretty well. And when you're doing, an hour plus in a Zoom call or something like that with the guitar, it can get uncomfortable. Well, my knees hurt. You're not in the minority because a lot of folks will have a hard time learning a new chord shape. I wouldn't blame your ears so much. I think it would. It's just a physical thing for lots of us. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you want to assign players names like BB King Box, Albert King Box, go for it if that's helpful. But ultimately, what helps is really making sure that you have at least your major and minor pentatonic shapes down. All right, we got our weekend warrior. Chris is here. Good to have you, brother. And again, Dave Henderson, this is a Powers electric guitar built by Andy Powers of Taylor Guitar fame. Zoom chat blues jam for WCG live stream. That might be like herding cats. It could be, Kevin. Kevin's referring to our Zoom calls that we have for our VIP members at my site, Working Class Guitar. Working Class Guitar does offer a inexpensive monthly membership where you get all of our courses, monthly Zoom calls, and a built-in community for our folks as well that can post videos and comments about themselves. Eddie Lee says, do I sing? Well, the best way to get started singing is to try it. All right. Dan, it was great to see you as well last night. I was about to drop you a message as well. Dan is one of our VIPs, and he also came to my weekly gig right now at a really amazing place in Nashville called Star Rover Sound. It's an old school steakhouse type of thing with a really modern approach. One of the best audible stages in town. The mix in there is amazing. It's really, really great. So if you're in Nashville on a Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m., come and see us. Oh, we got all these VIPs talking about how they're enjoying the courses. We really appreciate all of that, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Your check's in the mail as well. All right. Tons V Tune says, borrowed chords or substitutions that won't clash. Well, one of my favorite things to do, and this goes right with our blues rhythm thing for a crosscut saw, which we were playing earlier. Anytime you have a dominant 7 chord, you can substitute minor triads to play some really fun stuff against that. Particularly an E minor triad. And where might you hear this? Well, you might hear it. I like E minor 7. which also looks like a G triad. So check this out. So there's lots of ways that you can see this. So you can do, if the band's playing an A7, they can play an E minor 7 against it, but you don't want to live on it. So if they're going here, let me erase my loop. Goodbye, loop. Sorry. Let me try another one. 3, 4. So there's an A7. I might play. So the first one, it's going to sound weird unless we get off of it. But what we want is an E minor, a D, and an A7. So you can do a really fun rhythm thing like this. Yeah, indeed. Stole that directly from Robben Ford all day long. He'll play triads against his dominant 7 chord. Because if you think about it, an A7 is the 5th of the key of D. So if you play a D triad, and then maybe an E minor triad, you could do an F sharp minor triad, a G triad, which we said is the same as an E minor 7, sort of, kind of. You can play all those things against the A7, and it really is pretty cool. Check this out. So we can go, here's D. But you got to resolve it, because you heard that. How about E minor to the D? Now we want to make it a little bit more seamless. How about a G? F sharp minor, E minor, B minor, because that's the 6th of D. So essentially, even though we're playing a blues in A, that's how we say it on the street, that A7 pairs with the D major, because that's your mixolydian at that point. And, or, you know, A7 is giving you those mixolydian sounds. And we can play a lot of different triads from the key of D over top of that. Could you do it? Yeah, let's do it anywhere. Why does that work? You've heard that move before? Check it out. It's really an E minor and an F sharp minor. Wrong chord. Can you do those triads as lead lines? You can. Bring it back to A of some variety. So, that's your A minor pentatonic. Little E minor triad. And you might start to sound a little bit Jerry Garcia-ish. And bring it back to the minor pentatonic. Let's forget we're playing blues and just play any of that stuff over the A7. So you can hear almost where it sounds a little bit more of that sort of Grateful Dead-ish sort of sound, then back to the more aggressive blues. You have the ability to turn on those switches anytime you want, as long as you understand the proper scales and the triads and that sort of thing that correspond. Okay? So yeah, that's a good way to have some kind of substitution, is to play triads from its parent major chord. So over an A7, you could play D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A7, of course, B minor. You hear Robin do that all the time. And apologies too, these microphones, they pick up so much of the pick noise. I try to get rid of it with a mute, so if and I just said you can't hear me because I can turn the mic off and play, and it kills some of the high end from the microphone. It's a 3-ring circus here for sure with all this stuff going on. Let me jump back into the chat and talk to you guys a little bit more. Okay. Eddie Lee says, what tips do you have for memorizing lyrics? Oh man, and that is my Achilles heel. I have the hardest time. Sometimes I'll type them out. Sometimes I'll write them out. What's great on like the Spotify app, you can kind of see the lyrics. So I'll try to just really take it verse by verse, measure by measure. Thankfully, a lot of times the choruses of songs will be the same. So if you get that completed to memory, you might only have to get a verse or two. So I take it in small doses. But yeah, I'm with you. I have a hard time remembering lyrics. Always interested. What is something that you are currently working on in your playing? Something you want to improve on? Can be anything. Well, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you asking that. I am working on stuff all the time. And the great thing about being an online educator as well as a professional guitar player is that what you work on to teach people makes you better. And that is really, really fun for me. Lately, I've been jamming to an old Neville Brothers song that John Hyatt wrote called Yellow Moon. And the beauty of that song is that a lot of times we can't figure out ways to incorporate different sounds, like sounds from like a harmonic minor scale. So I've been wanting to incorporate that song and play it as a fun cover. And I was like, but I want to have my soloing together too on it, because the song's at a G minor, but it has a 5/7, a D7, and then a C minor, and then back to G minor. So I don't know if I could, let me see if I can make this loop. This is going to be dangerous live. 3, 4. There it is. So in the beginning over the G minor, I can play minor pentatonic. Now I'll go the harmonic minor over the D7. So I've been playing around with that just to like say like, what's my roadmap? Because I'm preparing myself for when I get in front of people on a stage and we're going to play that song. I want to get that sound that they're getting, particularly the saxophone player. I can't remember which Neville brother it is. If it's Cyril or Art, I can't remember. But that sound really intrigued me. But you can't really use it, I don't think, unless you have a progression that allows it to be, sort of vocalized like I'm trying to get. Something that's seamless. So that's something that I've been working on. And I'm always also working on, this is another great question, some of the stuff that the great jazz instructor Barry Harris would teach. And I'm just scratching the surface of the sixth diminished scale, which sounds really, really confusing. And it is if it's not taught properly. And I've had to go through a few different instructors online to kind of see how I like to learn it, because I'll disseminate it one day as well. But it's the basically playing a flat six in your major scale, and when you harmonize all those notes, for instance, like a G major six or a G6, and then the next note, basically every other note except a chord tone is diminished. So it's G6 diminished, then be G6-ish, yep, diminished, G6 diminished, where's my G, G6 diminished, and then that. So what happens is if somebody's playing, like I'll do it if they're playing an E minor 7, and I'll play, let's loop that. So E minor 7 and G6 are the same, so I can play, let me do that again. So it'll be G6, here's my diminished chord, I can do some really fun comping things like that. I can go, so stuff like that I'm kind of playing around with, but you guys asked for it, and I'm all about transparency, and some days I can pull that stuff together faster than others. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that's keeping me busy for sure. So thanks for asking. Let's see here. Yeah, will I be playing there in December? It remains to be seen, but keep in touch with me. I got to update my website for this month, and then I'll do it for December as well. It's kind of been a month-to-month thing, but hopefully I can let you know. So Eugene says that he's in his second lesson in Blues by Yourself course. Gotta say, he's really enjoying it. Thanks very much for sharing the knowledge. Appreciate that, Eugene. Blues, but let's see if I can find it on the site really quickly. There it is. Blues Guitar by Yourself. That is our most popular course because it has a lot of chord progressions that you can play by yourself with or without a band, but there's also accompanying lead lines and riffs and melodies and stuff too. Awesome. That's true. Every voice teacher I've ever had would say that we all can sing. Yeah, and triad pairs are an important thing. They're really, really fun and helpful. I don't stress using sort of typical terms like triad pairs and all that sort of thing because I want you to think more holistically of the key. And if you're thinking, well, I got to use triad pairs here, just think that you can use any triad, ultimately. It just depends on, do you like that sound? And you might like that sound, you might not in that particular scale. But triads are going to be used at any point. Okay, let's see here. So Andy just bought the lead course, looking forward to it right after he finished the funk rhythm course. Do your blues jam companion and then on to the lead. Yeah, so that's the idea. There is a rhythm version. I don't know if it'll show up. Oh, there we go. Check this out. Boom. You can see rhythm and lead. So there you go. Now, the rhythm portion is those same 10 songs that are in the lead. We taught those, but I embellished more than in the original course. But if you already purchased the Blues Jam fake book course on TrueFire, let me know and we can take care of you on that. But I will say, it's more in depth. This is a big deal, that you can sing and play guitar, but you try to avoid it because you get stressed out. Focus on guitar playing. Yeah, and when you're doing it, you have to have the guitar playing so locked in that you can focus on the singing, because most people aren't going to focus on your playing. They're going to focus on your singing. And I struggle with that quite a bit, and it's something that I always am working on. Somebody already answered oblique, but this is not pre-recorded. You're watching us live currently. What you can say is, so David Henderson says, play F minor pentatonic over the D7. Something I like to do is play over any 7 chord. You can do it. Let's try this. Let's clean out that loop. We could take an A7. Let's try again. 3, 4. Over that, we can play an E, which is an A7. We know our A minor pentatonic is going to work great. We can also play, if we want to get a little floatier, an E minor or E minor pentatonic. So what I like to do in that instance is, if I want a little spacier, I might play A minor pentatonic. You can hear when one starts and one takes over. Notice how I always bring it back into what we're comfortable hearing. E minor pentatonic. It's almost like any note is available as long as you resolve it. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Ralph. Appreciate you being here. You can certainly do that too, Daniel. Go check out this fella. Great guitar player, great slide player. And Luis says, I'll be watching the replay to learn music theory behind. For now, enjoying while working. That's what's great about doing a midday live stream. Oh, we got a bunch of folks putting in their lyrics to 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover in the chat. And Clayton says, long time lurker. Hey, you admitted to being a lurker, so that's cool. Thank you for your support, and I'll keep doing all the stuff I can to help folks, reach their goals on the instrument. I still have a long way to go as well. Daniel said something cool when we're playing that thing. Let's try that again. Do those 2 chords. There's this diminished idea. So we're back in G minor. I tend to go with the harmonic minor more because I want that. And then it'll go to the C minor chord, so that works for me. But he's not wrong. There's a good shot right there. Diminished arpeggio. Yeah, and you know, I'm probably going to go down in like the Hall of Shame talking about how much I don't like to overdo diminished stuff. It's just so obvious. Everybody tries to cram it in, and I mean, I think I played one diminished arpeggio last night in an hour gig, because it just felt like that was the only place it was appropriate. A lot of times it just doesn't feel appropriate to me if I'm not playing like a 2-5-1. Sometimes it feels like I'm forcing it, so I don't overdo any diminished stuff for sure. All right. So you had a fun story, and you had him play through your rig. That's awesome. He got a new PRS HDRX 20 amp, and he's having fun with it. Always in moderation. Everything in moderation, right, my friend? Yeah. Well, cool. Well, we're almost up on an hour, and we've had a handful of great folks jumping in here. And I want to thank everybody for just hanging out for an hour, just talking about getting over those nerves at the Blues Jam, giving you some tips to kind of consider. If you've gone this far, thank you for hanging with us. We have a great time when we do these live streams. Don't forget that as I continue to pull out my keyboard desk here, let's see. There's our Blues Jam Companion Lead Edition. I just put it in the chat. This is going to get you 60% off of Blues Jam Lead Edition that will teach you a number of different, teach you a lot of solos to play over a number of different blues classic tunes. And I'm particularly proud of my thumbnail there. I made that all by myself, as I do all of them. That's a shot of Memphis downtown, and I just found an old marquee and Photoshop magic. There you go. Yeah, so it's a little under $20 US before tax with 60% off. I shouldn't say that because prices change all the time. But in this live video, get it for 60% off for just with 25 copies available. There you go. Oh, a couple quick questions. Looks like my question disappeared. Would you recommend looping a single chord and soloing over it, or a chord progression? One of each. Both are good. I'm a big fan of learning how to solo over one chord, because a lot of times in a 12-bar blues progression, the actual 12 bars helps us sort of cycle through. And a lot of times when you're playing a one-chord song, like a funky song or something like that, maybe you're jamming over that one chord, it can be hard to kind of find how many bars you've played over. So it's important to have a feeling or a sense of how many bars have gone by as you're playing. You don't want to play like 21 bars or 33 bars. You want to have a nice sort of divisible by 4 amount, that you've played over to feel comfortable with the band. So try over both. When you're playing arpeggios, different scales and stuff, try it over one chord and see if you can get the sound. And once you get the sound, you can start to kind of incorporate chord progressions. And Julian says, I just bought your arpeggio course, the 5th course I bought from you. Amazing. Oh, yeah, we have that on sale today to our mailing list. I forgot about that. Our arpeggio handbook course, which is, let's see if I could find it, right over there where you see Arpeggio Handbook for Blues Guitar. If you've never played arpeggios, or dominant 7 arpeggios at least, that is a really, really fun ebook. And there's a companion that goes along with it where he actually puts it more into place. I actually feel the opposite about this. I listen to backing tracks on YouTube all the time, and I enjoy that just because it's a little faster and I don't have to hook up my looper pedal. And I have a love-hate relationship with looper pedals. I like simple, and it doesn't seem like anybody makes one for me other than this is the old TC Ditto XL. It's got 2 buttons on it, and I like that. So that's it. Yeah, I mean, y'all have a great weekend. I hope you're playing some music, playing some guitar. If you're playing with people, take some of this confidence stuff into account, and you know, just give it your best shot. The great thing about playing music is you always have another chance to take a swing, and that's why I look at every time I pick up the guitar. It's a privilege to do it and to actually say, I think I can actually make some music now. So that's a good thing. Approach it with that positive attitude, and I don't think it can ever let you down. You're gonna have ups and downs though, like all of us, but ultimately you're gonna have more fun than you did last time. All right, so you can ask the questions in the comments later once this is over, but I appreciate you all joining me in the chat, and take advantage of that 60% off sale for Blues Jam Companion Lead Edition this weekend. There's only 25 copies on this video, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you so much.